Yo, yo, yo! What is up, guys? Nick Nakai here.
Let's Drift Media.
Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. If it's your first time here, please hit that subscribe button down below. If it's not your first time here, thank you for coming back. So I got a couple comments on the last video I did of the house tour, and you guys were asking me I should do a video of how the whole process for being a first-time home buyer was. So I figured I'd just make a video pretty much explaining everything we went through, what we had to do, as well as give you guys some tips and advice from a first-time buyer like me. I know it's not automotive related, but I mean, a lot of you guys I'm sure have goals in life to get your own pad, get a spot, do whatever. So hopefully this video will help you. And if anyone's wondering if we're digging the house, we are
Fucking loving it.
I can't stress that enough. Like, it's been so awesome having our own place, like the room we have, having the garage. Super excited to get that garage build started. Haven't really done much because I'm gonna epoxy the floor before I load up too much crap in there, and then it's gonna be a lot bigger of a pain. But I'll be doing some journey videos on building the dream garage hopefully pretty soon, once I get some more time, probably on the weekends and stuff. But I will say one thing about having a two-story house is it sucks when you lose something. The other day I was getting ready for work and I could not find my wallet, guys. Like, I was looking everywhere, all over in the gaming room. I was like looking in the kitchen, went upstairs, went to the bedroom. Like, I went up and down those stairs like probably 5 times, and then I finally found it in the bottom floor. So that sucks when you lose things, but other than that, it is just truly amazing, guys. Just truly amazing. All right, so back to the video. I wrote some notes here down because there's kind of a lot of stuff and I didn't want to forget anything. But this was our first time buying a house. Me and Maya have never done this before, so all of this was brand new to us. We learned so much on the way. Things to do, things you shouldn't do, a lot of help from our realtor. So that's one piece of advice I would say. If you're in the market already, don't be afraid to ask your realtor or your loan officer questions, because they're making money off you in the end. So it's their job to answer your questions and educate you as much as they can. So that's one thing that I would really recommend, because I was like asking my realtor all kinds of stuff, stupid questions probably, but I just wanted to know, and I was like, this is like a big purchase, so I want to know exactly everything that's going on and what everything means. So I'll kind of just run down some like tips and advice I would recommend to maybe someone who's starting their first time home buying process. Find your price range. You really want to figure out how much you could afford before you even go on Zillow looking at houses, falling in love with houses. Before you even like contact like your realtor, I would like figure out how much money of a house that you're going to be able to afford, because you don't want to find a house and just fall in love with it and then you come to realize like, I can't afford that shit. So that's one thing I would say, find your price range. Then once you figure out kind of your price range, figure out how much you're going to need to save. It's always better to have more money saved up than less, because sometimes when you put in offers, you're going to want to offer more cash on top, whatever it gets appraised to, which I'll get to that in a minute. So it's better to have money backed up in the bank, as well as for once you get the place, you don't want to wipe out your savings account and have no money to furnish the place. Like, you're going to have to buy appliances, furniture if you don't already have it. If you've never lived on your own before, you're gonna have to buy like cleaning supplies, toilet paper, all kinds of little shit. And trust me guys, it adds up fast. So recommend having as much money as you can saved up. And when it comes to prices, I'll kind of just break down this little math ahead of time so you guys can kind of have a better idea when it comes to how much to save. So I'll just give 2 scenarios of how much money I would recommend having saved. Say a house is $350K. If you're gonna put 3.5% down, you're gonna have 12K saved up in the bank. Like 12K hard cash, not hard cash, but electronic cash in the bank, because they need to be able to see this money, and they also need to be able to see where it came from. So you gotta steadily put it in. I wouldn't recommend just dropping 12K in the bank, because they're gonna be like, where'd you get this money from? Like, they need to be able to trace the money and see where it came from and make sure it's your money. So that on 350K, just putting 3.5% down, which is kind of like the bare minimum, I would say, would be 12K. You also have to keep in mind that you're gonna probably pay around 10 grand in closing costs and escrow. So that's gonna be added on top of that 12K. So if you wanted a house that was 350K and you wanted to put 3.5% down, you would have to have 22K saved up in the bank. So that's one thing I would really keep that in mind, is that extra 10K that you're gonna need for just escrow, closing costs, all that bullshit. Because that's one thing, when I was looking, I would hear people say, oh, you only need 3% and you can buy a house. So I was like, oh, 3% on 350K, that's only 12K, I only need 12K. No, that's not the case. You end up like needing almost double that. So to just give you another example, a house that's 500K, if you're only to put 3.5% down, you're looking at 18K. That's just down, plus another 10K for closing, that's 28K. So almost 30K, that's a lot of money. So just keep that in mind when saving. That's why I said better to have more money than less money. So what we did is we had like some money saved up in the bank, and then once we had like a decent amount, we pretty much went to the loan guy, or once we got pre-approved, all this happened, and that's when we got to figure out how much we actually needed to close, for down payment, like the total lump sum. And that was very helpful, because once we actually got to see the numbers on paper, how much we're gonna have saved up, it really gave us a better idea of how much of a house we could afford, because we weren't trying to go broke and blow our whole savings and then have no money to survive or in case of emergency. So definitely have your money saved up and then see how much you're gonna need, I would say, before you get seriously started in looking for houses. Also, have a list of things you want in a house already. Like before we got started looking, someone told us you should make a list of items or characteristics of a house that you want in the house, so that way you can have it all ready to go, and once you actually get serious and looking, you can like lay the list on your realtor and they'll do a pretty good job of finding like what criteria of a house you're looking for. Like say you want like a big backyard, or you want a swimming pool, or you want like a 3-car garage, or you want a 2-story, you want a 1-story. These are all key factors when buying a house. Alright, so I'm just gonna kind of go down the rundown of how it went down for us. So a little story time, guys. So the first thing we did, we wanted to get pre-approved, so that way we can see how much of a house we can even afford. So what I did, I went to Quicken Loans and went through them at first and kind of got like a rough estimate. Like you have to tell them how much of a house you want, and they'll tell you pretty much if you could afford that based off your income and your money you have saved up. But as soon as I got pre-approved and I got my magic number, then I contacted my realtor. We had a realtor that we wanted to use, so I contacted her and told her that, hey, look, we got a pre-approved for this much. And then she told me that she doesn't recommend Quicken Loans because it's kind of like a pain in the ass sometimes to communicate between each other. So she recommended me to her loan officer, and then it was really good because they worked really well together, and they've sold a lot of houses together. So that's one thing too. I would recommend whoever realtor you're gonna use, figure out her loan person, because if they can work together a lot smoother and they're used to working together, the process will just be a whole lot smoother. So, because there's gonna be a lot of paperwork that needs to go back and forth, and like if you're working with, say, Quicken Loans, they're maybe only open Monday through Friday business hours. So if it's after hours and you need certain information, you're kind of like out of luck and you're gonna have to wait till the next business day. So that's one thing that didn't even cross my mind, but luckily my realtor pointed us in the right direction. And after that, we told the realtor what we wanted in a house, and she pretty much found a bunch of houses that met our criteria and took us house shopping. So that was super fun to actually physically go to houses and like walk around and see it in person. And just, yeah, pretty much see it in person, because things were a lot different on how they look on Zillow than they are in real life. So that's one thing. It's like pretty easy, I would say, to fall in love with a house on Zillow, because you're just like, oh my god, it looks so amazing, like it looks perfect, like this is the house. And then you go and it's like a piece of shit, or it needs a bunch of work, and you're just like, wow, like that does not look like how it looked in pictures, or it's a lot smaller than it looked, or it's a lot bigger. So we went to a couple houses one weekend, saw one like we really wanted because it had like a full shop in the backyard. Like it was insane, guys. Like there was like an acre of land. It had like a 2,400 square foot garage with a auto lift inside, a 2-post lift already, and like I immediately fell in love. I was like, this is the one, like I want this house, this is it. So we put an offer and things just didn't go through. Somebody else put in a better offer than us and they had more money than us. So ultimately we just weren't able to get the house. So that was our first letdown. But one piece of advice my realtor gave us was just don't give up, because there's going to be times like that where it's like you fall in love with the house and that's like the house you want. Like you have to have that house. But it doesn't always work that way. Whoever has the bigger wallet is gonna win that battle. So that's one thing I realized quickly, like, damn, like I gotta stop falling in love with these houses, because I would see houses and just be like, oh my God, and then it wouldn't happen. So you just gotta keep your head up and don't give up. So then we did the whole house shopping thing for, I would say, like maybe like 2 weeks. Like I would just be on Zillow every day trying to find a house. And then she ended up taking us to this house we're in, and she was like, you guys are gonna love this house. But I already saw it on Zillow and I was like, I don't know, like it has a garage in the front, like I wanted to build a shop. So I was kind of like, whatever. And then we saw the house, we were pretty impressed with it, and we just decided to put in an offer. We didn't put a crazy offer in, because like I was just like, you know what, like I want this other house, so like I don't want to put all my focus towards this one. And then funny thing is, this offer got accepted out of all the houses that we wanted, and I was just like, damn. So then after they told us the offer got accepted, I was like, well, how long do we have to let them know, like, yes, we're down for it, because I wanted to see if our other offers got accepted on other houses. So then she told us like, well, they kind of want to know or else they're going to accept the next best offer. So at that point, we just made the decision to just say, fuck it and go for it. And that's what happened. So as soon as we told them, yes, we're willing to go through with the offer, they basically send you a packet in the email, and it kind of gives you like a whole breakdown of the escrow schedule. With escrow, that's basically from when you start like the home buying process, or like with the house, till the end closing when you actually get the keys. So they have like 30-day escrows, 45-day escrows, 60-day escrows. It all depends really on like the seller. It's like how long they need to get out of that house. So we got really lucky with ours. We did a 30-day escrow because nobody was living in the house. It was a vacant house, so it was ready to move in. So that's one thing. If like most houses, I would assume when you're buying, someone's living in that house. So they're selling their house, but they're also banking on finding another house to buy in that time frame. And sometimes things don't happen. Maybe they can't find a house, but they're accepting your offers. So things could get a little bit messy. I feel like we definitely got lucky that it was vacant and we didn't really have to worry about that, because we only did a 30-day escrow. And like as soon as escrow started, I was just like counting down the days, like let's go. And like 2 weeks in, I was like feeling like forever, because I wanted my house already. So I can't imagine like a 60-day escrow or like a new construction where you're not going to get that till like next year. So I would say we got really lucky. So after we confirmed that we're starting escrow, we had to put a $3,000 deposit to basically show the seller like we're serious, like we're buying this house. So you put in your deposit. That deposit later goes back into the total closing costs. So you end up getting that money back, or at least it goes towards what you're putting in. So that's just kind of like a security deposit, if you want to say. So after you put in the deposit, you're gonna have to get the home inspected and appraised. These kind of happen about the same time. We ordered our home appraisal like as soon as we started escrow to just speed up the process. And the thing with home appraisals is that's when someone from the bank comes and inspects the house or checks the surrounding area. There's a lot of things that fall into the appraisal, but that's what the bank considers the house is worth. So that's one thing too, when you're putting in your offers, you're gonna see houses listed on Zillow, whatever. Like say a house is listed at $400,000. It could get appraised for $430,000. It could get appraised for $370,000. You never really know exactly what the outcome of the appraisal is gonna be. But that's one thing too, when you're putting in your offer, the bank is only gonna lend you the amount that the house gets appraised for. So if the house is $400K, and you offer $480K, but the house only gets appraised for $400K, the bank is not going to loan you the $480K. So if you did want that house, you would have to cough up another $80K out of pocket on top of your down payment and closing costs. But our house ended up getting appraised for more than what it was listed at, so it worked out pretty good because we put a decent offer in, and it got appraised for like maybe like 15K less than what we offered, and the buyer or the sellers were still willing to do that. So it just really worked out perfect. And we also offered cash on top of the appraisal. So that's one thing that really separates buyers a lot right now, I would say, since all the houses are just getting sold so fast. What you pretty much have to do, I would say, in this time is offer cash on top of appraisal. So what we did, and it helped our offer stand out, was we offered cash on top of the appraisal. So say the house got appraised lower than what we offered, we still agreed to pay this much cash over the appraisal in case the appraisal came in lower. So that really helped us, because kind of for like, say if you're like the seller, someone puts in an offer, you have your house up for 400K, someone offers you 500K with nothing over appraisal. To them, 500K is kind of just like almost like a slap in the face, because they're like, the house isn't going to get appraised at 500K, so the bank's not going to loan them 500K. So if they're not offering money over what it gets appraised at, it's basically like a stupid offer. So say somebody else comes in and they offer 500K, but they offered up to 10K over appraisal. If the house gets appraised at maybe 450, the bank will loan that person 450, but they'll still have to pay another 10K on top of that, since they agreed to pay that 10K over appraisal. So that's one thing. If you really want your offer to stand out, I feel like you just have to offer cash on top of appraisal, because the way things are going now, that's just, I feel like the only way to get your offer pretty much looked at, even unless it's like a house that no one's really wanting to buy. But if all these people are coming in putting in offers on houses and it's like pretty popular, then for sure I would say put money on top of whatever it gets appraised at. That whole appraisal thing, that's something I didn't really even know. I thought like you can just offer as much as you want on a house, but now I know that the bank will only loan you what the house is worth in their eyes. So enough with the appraisal. Then you get the home inspected. That also comes out of pocket, so that's usually going to be anywhere from like $300 to like $1,000, and that you just have to pay that up front to the guy who comes and inspects your homes. And that pretty much just like a peace of mind in case there's anything wrong with like the structure of the house, or any like pipes are leaking. Pretty much like a health check of the house. So they inspect everything, like in the attics, the outside, the paint, like the plumbing system, the water, the electricity, like they check it all, so you can know exactly what you're buying in a house. But luckily for us, this is a fairly new house, so I already had in mind like there's probably gonna be nothing, and there was really nothing wrong with the house. So after that, we got the home insurance quote. You have to have home insurance on a house, so I just called my auto insurance, had them give me a quote, send that to my loan guy, and they just work that out like that, and that gets worked out into your monthly payments. So that's, you don't have to worry about paying that up front unless you want to. After that, pretty much everything was done. We just had to go back to the house one last time and verify that the property was in the condition that we saw it originally. Make sure like no one's broken into or vandalized it in that time frame where you're getting the home appraised and getting your home inspection and all that. So we did one final walkthrough, and it was pretty much a done deal right there. And pretty much the final thing you have to do next is get your loan docs signed. These are pretty much when you sign your life away, you see the final terms of how much your loan is going to cost you, how much your mortgage is going to be, everything, all that information will be bundled up in there, and your loan officer will explain all those numbers to you. And all you have to do is sign like a bunch of papers, and after that, they send it through. You wait like a couple more days, and around this time, you're probably getting close to the close of escrow, unless you did like a long escrow. But ours was pretty much like right at the end, so we sent that through, signed our loan docs, finalized the loan, and we closed escrow. And then as soon as we closed escrow, it was like about 6 p.m. and my realtor called me and was like, we closed escrow, and I was like, yeah! And then we got the keys and the house was ours. It was super exciting. Like, it was like an unreal feeling to me. Like, I feel like my heart just dropped, because like, even though, God damn it. Like, even though through that whole process it was like the house is mine, but it wasn't until that day we closed escrow and got the keys where it felt like my house. And yeah guys, that's the story of how we bought our first house. Hope this video was helpful to you. Again, it was by request, so I mean, no, it's not automotive related, but I figured this may help some people, or at least educate them, because I didn't know shit about buying a house, and I feel like I learned so much in that short period of time. And we honestly got really lucky because we didn't search for too long until we actually made everything happen. Everything went smoothly, there wasn't any hiccups, and it was case closed. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Got some big news coming up, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace!
Hey, Bill, I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up.